This episode of Marijuana Today Daily is brought to you by our friends over at the Home of Medicine Medical Marijuana Provisioning Center of Ann Arbor, Michigan. If you count the Home of Medicine as the place where you get the medical marijuana products that make you feel best, consider yourself lucky. I mean, besides getting to live in or around the Ann Arbor area, which is just a beautiful place to be. Ohm's owners, Mark and Keith, set out to do things a little differently when they opened up the Home of Medicine all those years ago. They take a patient-centric approach that is long on patient care and education and totally devoid of any kind of sales pressure. Ohm's patients can sit down in a one-on-one setting and get all the time they need to ponder their choices. Swing by the Home of Medicine to see how medical marijuana should be done. Learn more about the Home of Medicine, including how to find them in downtown Ann Arbor, by opening up homeofmedicine.org, which is spelled omofmedicine.org. Good morning, Marijuana Nation. It's Friday, September 28th, 2018, and you're tuned in to episode 580 of Marijuana Today Daily. I'm your host, Shay Gunther, and I'll be walking you through today's marijuana news and headlines. As always, we have a full and busy day of cannabis news in our hands, so let's jump right into it. Our top story as we wind down the work week starts us off in Oklahoma, where the Oklahoman newspaper has a big story up looking at the behind-the-scenes policy machinations that took place in that state this summer as citizens were voting to approve a medical marijuana ballot measure. The Oklahoman broke this story with some good old-fashioned journalism and obtained a pile of emails that showed that state officials conspired with a number of health care and law enforcement professionals to impose drastic changes on the voter-approved medical cannabis measure, including banning the sale of smokable forms of marijuana and requiring that dispensaries have in-house licensed pharmacists 40 hours a week. Those drastic changes, which were later overturned, were set in motion before the voters even went to the polls. This is a big, sprawling story with lots of names and details and moving parts, so I'd swing over to the Oklahoman to read the original reporting yourself. Good journalism. From a story of good journalism to one of good activism. In New Jersey, prominent marijuana activist Ed Forshawn, also known as NJWeedman, set up a table outside the office of New Jersey Governor Phil Murphy and then proceeded to not only smoke marijuana in front of a gaggle of New Jersey state troopers, but also to sell cannabis to a number of people from the table. NJWeedman, who recently spent more than a year in jail for a marijuana-related arrest, dared the officers to bust him for his pro-cannabis activism, but they simply asked him to move his table down the street, which he did. There's a big public push in New Jersey right now to adopt adult use legalization, with Governor Murphy being loud about making the change in laws a priority of his administration. In remarks made leading up to his protest, Mr. Forshawn stressed the need to address racial disparities in marijuana-related arrests and to open up the industry so that it's more inclusive of people from communities that have been most negatively impacted by the war on marijuana. Another good one to read and to watch, as Forshawn is a powerful speaker on the issue. Wrapping up our top headlines today and for the week is Kyle Yeager over at Marijuana Moments, who picked up on the big breaking news that the Drug Enforcement Administration did their job. The DEA just released the classification for newly approved prescription drug Epidiolex, which was properly slotted into a Schedule 5 listing. Epidiolex, which is made of lab-extracted CBD, is the first FDA-approved drug that's actually derived from cannabis. There are a number of synthetic forms of THC on the prescription drug market, but those aren't actually made using the marijuana plant. Epidiolex is. The drug was approved thanks to its proven ability to reduce the frequency of seizures in patients and was developed by UK-based company GW Pharmaceuticals. Those are our top stories for today. It's time for Marijuana Today Daily Headlines Blitz. Before we blitz on the headlines, let's quickly thank our sponsor, the Home of Medicine Medical Marijuana Provisioning Center of Ann Arbor, Michigan. I've mentioned one very cool event being supported by the Home of Medicine this week with a medical marijuana science symposium happening tomorrow, Saturday the 29th from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. on the campus of the University of Michigan. But there's another great item on Ohm's calendar that's happening tonight, Friday the 28th. One of Ohm's owners, Mark, is a practicing magician and is involved in Open Heart Magic, a charity that sends out volunteer magicians to entertain sick kids in hospitals. Open Heart Magic is having a fundraiser and benefit tonight at the Polo Fields Golf and Country Club in Ann Arbor. If you want to learn more about supporting Open Heart Magic or for details on tomorrow's Medical Cannabis Science Symposium, you just need to swing over to omofmedicine.org, which is spelled omofmedicine.org. Thanks to everyone at the Om of Medicine for being so awesome and for the support that makes today's news possible. All right, time for the Blitz. The Pennsylvania State Department of Health was ordered yesterday to hand over to a reporter with PennLive a list of members of a panel that reviewed the first set of applications for the state's medical marijuana program. Reporter Wallace McKelvey was on the winning side of a 2017 ruling on the matter, but has been held up since by the state's appeal. Yesterday, a 3-member panel of judges ruled that the health department's claim of wanting to keep the identities of the reviewing panel secret to protect their safety was not compelling, and ruled that those names need to be shared with Mr. McKelvey. As of this morning, that hadn't yet been done, as the state is still weighing its options to appeal. California Governor Jerry Brown signed into law on Wednesday a bill that gives local towns and cities the ability to approve marijuana events taking place within their borders. AB 2020 grants local jurisdictions the power to give temporary license to marijuana events like concerts and trade shows, and will go into effect on January 1st. Sticking to California, we have another good cannabis bill signed into law by Governor Brown, with the California Cannabis Equity Act getting his signature yesterday. The bill will expand the positive impacts of social equity programs started up in cities like Oakland and San Francisco to a statewide level, giving people from communities of color and those with cannabis charges on their records some help in getting involved in the legal marijuana industry. This is a story that needs a read. Jump over to Leafly for the full dive in. As always, we have all the news we cover linked to on our website at mjtodaydaily.com and on our Twitter account at mjtodaydaily. A new report from Canaccord Genuity estimates that the market for marijuana-infused drinks could grow as large as $600 million within the next 4 years. Right now, cannabis drinks make up around 6% of the edibles market, according to Canaccord, and their analysts think that that could grow to closer to 20% by 2022. One personal note here, Bloomberg titles this story, quote, "Cannabis-Laced drinks could be a $600 million market in the U.S. by 2022, unquote. Can we please agree to not use the word laced when we talk about legitimate marijuana? Laced is a term used in after-school specials and by Republican politicians and judges. It's not something done by legitimate industry. The state of Virginia's Board of Pharmacy just announced the first 5 winners to grab official sanction to grow, process, and sell CBD medical marijuana in that state. Virginia's limited medical marijuana program will allow for the sale and use of low THC, high CBD medical marijuana, which will be sold by 5 vertically integrated companies. You can swing over to Marijuana Business Daily for the full list of those 5 winners. California-based company MedMen just closed on a rather large round of funding up in Canada that saw it raise just over $86 million Canadian, or around $66.5 million US. MedMen sold 15.6 million units of stock for $5.50 Canadian each, and will use the money to fund and expand their current operations. And finally for today, yesterday, the Arkansas Medical Marijuana Commission announced that it had selected a company based in Massachusetts to analyze and score the hundreds of applications it's received for the 32 dispensary licenses the state will initially give out. Boston-based Public Consulting Group will get started right away on the scoring project, with Arkansas officials saying the first licenses could be handed out sometime in November. Those are the headlines and news for the day. I'll be back with you again Monday morning with another information-packed episode of Marijuana Today Daily. But in the meantime, if you have any stories to share or feedback to give, zip us an email to headlines@mjtodaydaily.com. And while you're clicking around the interwebs, swing over to our Twitter account at mjtodaydaily and visit our website at mjtodaydaily.com to find links to all the news we cover. Thanks to our sponsor, the Om of Medicine, and to all of our awesome patron listeners for the support that makes this show possible. To join the illustrious ranks of the patron listeners yourself, swing over to our website at mjtodaydaily.com and click on that big blue button at the top of the page that says Become a Patron. I'm your host, Shay Gunther. Thanks for tuning in and starting your day with Marijuana Today.
One take, Shay. One take.